Okay, now let's see how we can add a new page, completely new page to the website. So first we have to go to the admin console of the WordPress admin console. And we're going to do it by going to the web browser and typing in your local host slash domain or whatever the name of your project is, and wp-admin, and then you enter your username and password. You're going to log in, and then we're going to go to pages, and here we click on it with add a new page. So let's just, for the sake of it, add a page called test, right? Just suggest, not a very suggestive name, but not a useful name, but at least just so you see how it works. And then you click on publish. Right, so at this point, the page test has already been added to the WordPress project, and you can even see the link here, right, to your website /test. And this is an important change here, that you can decide if you would like to change how to access the page, or what we call permalink. You can change that here. So let's say instead of test, we would want to call it testing, let's say. So we could access that page through a URL which is a bit different than test, right? But in most cases we just want to keep it the same as the page name. And so that is it when it comes to the WordPress project page assignment. You don't have to enter anything here to add the page here, just the name, and that's it, right? If we look on the list of pages, here we go to the second page, we'll see that the test is there. Okay, so now we already wired the page on the background, on the back end. So so when we go to NetBeans, as I showed you, and you use this instruction here, the echo site URL blog, doesn't matter where that page is, or what it looks like, or what it is named. You only need this to access that page. The only difference is that instead of blog, you would do test. So when you do site URL test, a WordPress project will know exactly what to do, which is to look for the URL, the actual URL of the page test that you created on the WordPress project, right? So I'll switch this to blog. And so now, just for the fun of it, let's add, well, we could add to the top menu, or we could even add to the sliders here. So actually, let's add to the sliders, to the slide where we have all those the links, right, to the let's see, the slide number. Let's go back here to the website. I believe it's the 5th. Yeah, that's correct, the 5th slide. So let's make actually the blog, instead of point to blog where it isn't pointing now, let's make it point to our new page, right? So let's go to the last slide, and let's find blog. Let's do the test, right? So the blog would actually change to the test. And if we do this, and actually I'm not going to click but just show you, if you pass the mouse over the blog, if you look at the bottom of my screen there, you see that it's localhost :90, again, that's a non-default port, /domain/test. So when I click test here, it will load that page that I set up on WordPress. Now if I click, nothing will happen, or I'll get an error here, because, well, we added the page to the WordPress project, but we actually did not create the page PHP file, right? So that's another step on the process. So we have to go to NetBeans and go to our root folder and see where you see all the page dash whatever names are .php. Yeah, so we have to do something like similarly. We right click the project folder, Dwayne, new PHP file. And now, interesting to note, we have to create a file called page dash and then the name that you added on WordPress. So in this case, WordPress, we added a test, right? The test page with the test name. So on NetBeans, the PHP file has to be page dash test.php. And so we create that page, and of course it comes empty, right? So now if we even save that page, reload here, go to the last slide and click on test, now we're not going to get that weird page or an error anymore, but it's going to be a white page because there's nothing there, right? And that's why I created a file called page-cheat sheet. So here is actually what you need to start. Any page that you would start, you would need this code. So you can simply copy this whole code, and I'll go over it into the page.test and save. And let's just close here and here to avoid confusion. Well, let's see, the page dash home opened. So actually I can change it back to blog, right? So it doesn't affect our main page. But now if I refresh the test page, now you'll see that it has the template. I'll just log off from the login page so you can see the top menu, no problem. And so now you can see that the page is normal as it is, and if we go to the last slide, the blog is again pointing to the blog, but I can simply come here and go to test, and then we'll see that the default template is assigned. So in other words, the page is ready to be edited, or to be the content to be entered. So let's look at what we have on the page-test, and it starts getting the header. So it's a PHP function that tells the web server, hey, I need the header of the page, and the header is the logo here and the top menu. And it also, and now it says a little section here, page title, right? And the page title actually has the H1 header where you see page title here, right? We would change it to test, and where you see page title there, when I refresh, change it to test. And here is where you can create a breadcrumb, right? It's just the kind of like the path to that page. So let's say that the test would be under our organizations, people lobby, and history, and then test, let's say, right? So you could simply start adding here. So it will be home, and then will be our organizations, right? Our organizations, let's say, and People's Lobby Inc. And then we can continue creating LIs until we get there. And then let's call it history. And finally, let's call it test. So if when we refresh it, then we'll say, okay, it's a home, organization, People's Lobby Inc., history, and test. So let's say that actually one of these would be clickable pages. Right now, our organization, People's Lobby Inc., and history, they're non-clickable, right? There are no pages under them. But let's say there would be. So in this case, we could make this all links, as I did with the home. Right? And as you can see here, it's actually another cool instruction. The PHP echo home URL. In other words, it gives dynamically the URL of the home page whenever you need it. So this takes care of the header sections, the page title here. As we go, let's go back to the test page. Now you see the home, organization, People's Lobby, history, and test. Now it's the time for us to add the content to the core, right? The core center of the page, and that's what we do under the section container, right? The ID here you can change to anything you would want. So it will be the test page, so just test. Class is important, so the class container. And now comes the idea of the Bootstrap 3 grids that I mentioned before. You want to enter a whole row, right? So you want to start using the entire screen, and then within that row I'm gonna separate into two main columns, one column of width 8 and another column of width 4. So two divs, right? As I said, it doesn't matter how many you have, but it has to sum up to 12. And just integers, so 8 and 4, 12, right? So we're gonna just put a add some text here. See the y there, and my column of size 8 I actually divide into equally columns, right? Equal columns of size 6 and 6. So it's actually 6 and 6 of size the 8. So actually these is the same as if I would be like two MD4 columns, right? As we can see here, there's equally 3 columns, so it gives you flexibility to do whatever you want to do with the dividing the columns. So let's say if I would want to even divide this into two, maybe even into three. Let's say call MD4, and let me split into 3. So now what we see here is that I divided into 3 main columns, so actually 2 columns, one of size 8, which takes all this until the right before the y, and one of size 4, so the y is 4. But then within that size 8 I divide into 2 of size 6, so this is one column, and the 3 is another column. And then on the second column of size 6 I divide into 4 columns, right, of size 4, which is here. So, and if I could even divide this one into other ones, I could, right? Let's see, let's divide into let's divide into equal columns AMD6. So now I have, right, the one column here dividing to 2 columns, and so on. So it gives you the flexibility to work with whichever you want to work with. So I'm gonna switch back to the previous setup, and as you can see now, you have a page that you can start adding content. So let's say you want to create a list of files to be added, you're gonna do it here. If you want to set up, you want to write text, you're gonna do it here. Whatever you want to do, whatever content you want to add, include a video, everything that you would do it here, right, within the section container, specifically within the div row. And obviously you have many row divs, right? Here you don't have to have just one, so you can have the first row and you have another and another, and so on, right? So you can simply add here, and I will write say A, B, C. You'd see that there will be, right, 3 separate rows. So it can really divide and work out on the page as you would like, dividing how many rows. Right here you don't see anything, but how many rows you want, unlimited, how many columns you want, and the columns, the only limitation is that the sum of each column, right, or every column in a row or within another column has to be 12. And there you have it, as simple as that. So just actually before I end the video, recap: when you would like to add a new page, the steps are you have to go to the website and then go to the admin, the WordPress admin. You're gonna come here to the list of pages, you're gonna click on add new, you're gonna enter the page title here, let's say another test, and then you just publish. So that page is already there. If you would like to change the permalink, you'll just click here and then OK. Usually you don't want to do that, so let's leave as is. So that is it for the WordPress portion of it. I'm gonna just take a few seconds to delete those pages, since I like to keep everything organized. So I'm gonna simply go test and trash, and I'm gonna go also to the page test that I created. Where is it? Another test, and let's trash that one as well. So and you can even come to trash and empty trash, get rid of them permanently. So now let's just log out and go back to the main page, just to leave it as there. So the first step, again, go to the WordPress WP admin and add the page there under pages. Then you come here to WordPress, right click Dwayne, new PHP file, and then you create the page dash and then the name that you enter there on the WP admin. In our case, we create another test, so it will be page dash another test. So that page is created here, as you can see. Right, I'm gonna delete the test page now. So the another test page will come blank, right? There's nothing there, so you use the page dash cheat sheet to copy and paste everything, replace it, right? Can close there now. And then here you have this header section where define, let's simply go to our blog here. That's where you define the page name, as you see in here, People's Lobby Group blog, and then the breadcrumb home slash blog. So you set all that here in the header, and then the content is where you're going to really add your content. Remembering that it's based on the Bootstrap 3.0 grids, so you add as many rows as you want within the section container. You change the ID to whichever page name you would like to add, and add as many rows as you would like. I can go one by one, don't have to enter all at once. And within each row you start dividing by columns. So you set the skeleton, right, the template for where you're gonna add the content, and then you just start adding the content within the divs here, whether it's a paragraph or an image or video. Then it's up to your HTML CSS skills, right? Remember that it's very important that you have the knowledge of the CSS, right? And so you can check all the features that it has to offer. I'm going to give you some of those links later to you, either in documentation, or you can simply go to the Bootstrap 3 CSS, and there you go. So that's how you create a new page and start working on it.